Let's talk about hiring. For so many of us, it just feels like this black box of frustration, right? You send your application out and then you just wait. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if we could actually turn that confusing hiring maze into a clear, strategic map? Well, let's dive in and see how. You've been there. I know you have. You spend hours, maybe even days, polishing your resume. You write that perfect, tailored cover letter. You finally hit submit. And then crickets. It's that sinking feeling, isn't it? Like all your hard work just disappeared into some cosmic void with zero feedback.
And you know what? This isn't just a one-sided problem. For candidates like us, it's a maze of radio silence and totally inconsistent interviews. But for companies, it's a huge drain, wasted time, hiring the wrong people, and seriously damaging their own reputation. When the process is broken, everybody loses.
So how do we break out of the maze? Well, the answer is to find a much better map. And that map has a name. It's called hiring funnel optimization. Now, this isn't just some buzzword for hiring faster. It's really about being smarter and more precise. It's a whole strategy for looking at every single step of that hiring journey, from the very first ad someone sees to the final offer letter, and making it more efficient, more fair, and ultimately way more successful for everyone. At its core, the logic seems pretty simple, right? You attract people, you screen them, you interview the top contenders, and then you hire someone. But here's the thing, the magic, and honestly all the problems, are buried in the details of how you actually do each of these steps. Everything, and I mean everything, starts right at the top of that funnel, attracting candidates. How do you even get the right people to apply in the first place? Because if you mess this part up, the rest of the process is just an uphill battle. Think about it. Vague job descriptions, a confusing message about what your company is like, or just fishing in the wrong ponds, all it does is get you a flood of applications from people who are just not the right fit. So the fix is one word: clarity. That means writing job descriptions that don't just list requirements, but actually sell the role. It means making sure your company brand is consistent and appealing everywhere. It's a huge shift from just getting more applications to getting the right applications. Quality over quantity. Okay, so now you've got the applicants. The next big hurdle is screening them. A sloppy process here creates a massive bottleneck. Your recruiters get totally swamped, fantastic candidates get filtered out by mistake, and unconscious bias can sneak in and poison the whole effort. All right, now that we've attracted and screened our candidates, we're getting into the most human part of the whole thing, the interviews, and how we actually engage with people. Let's be honest, we've all sat through some really weird interviews. When every single interviewer asks different questions in their own unique way, how on earth can you compare candidates fairly? It's impossible. This kind of inconsistency leads to totally unreliable evaluations and, yeah, you guessed it, a pretty awful experience for the candidate. The solution here is actually pretty straightforward. You have to introduce some structure. By using a standardized interview framework, where every single candidate gets measured against the same core skills, the process becomes both rigorous and fair. It moves the decision away from a gut feeling and toward actual provable skills. And you know, great engagement isn't some complex mystery. It really just comes down to transparency. Sending simple updates at key moments completely gets rid of that black hole feeling we talked about. This builds so much respect for your company, whether someone gets the job or not. So, we've tuned up the human interactions. Now, let's look under the hood at the engine that really powers this whole system: data and good governance. This is where you can see the proof, right here in the numbers. When you optimize the funnel, you can slash key metrics like the time to hire. I mean, look at this. Going from 60 days down to 35, that's not just about being faster. It's about snagging that amazing talent before your competitors even get a chance to make an offer. And this is where that idea of data governance comes in. It's about using real-time information to see what's working and what's broken. It lets leaders stop guessing and start making strategic, data-backed decisions about how they hire. A really well-optimized funnel also acts like an early warning system. By keeping an eye on the data, you can spot risks like, hey, why are so many people dropping out after the first interview? And you can fix that problem before it really hurts your hiring goals. So, when you put all of these pieces together, what do you really get? Well, you fundamentally change what hiring even means for an organization. A modern strategic hiring funnel is really built on these 5 pillars. You start with clear attraction and structured screening. You make it fair with standardized interviews. You power the whole thing with data, and then you wrap it all in with consistent, respectful candidate engagement.
And that right there is the ultimate transformation. Hiring stops being this reactive, transactional chore. It becomes what it always should have been, a disciplined, human-centered process that gives your company a massive strategic advantage.
So I'm going to leave you with this thought. Just imagine for a second a world where every single company hired this way, where every process was this clear, this fair, and this respectful. How would that change not just your next job search, but your entire career journey?